in West Michigan love to get out on the water on a boat, and if you're an owner of a boat, there are certainly some things you need to know when it comes to liability. In this week's Know the Law segment, Tom Sinas here to talk about the steps boaters need to take beforehand to make sure they're properly covered. There's a lot to think about when you're boating.
There is. It's so much fun, and you want to have the most fun by knowing that you've checked off all those boxes before you get out there on the water.
What's number one?
Number one, register your boat.
Okay.
Any boat that is over 16 feet in the state of Michigan needs to be registered. Relatively simple process to do. You do it with your car, do it with your boat. Number two, insure your boat. A lot of people think, hey, I got a homeowner's policy.
Little dinghy.
Yeah, I got a homeowner's policy, I'm sure it'll cover my boat. Don't make that assumption. You most likely need separate insurance for your boat. At the very least, you need to talk to your agent and say, hey, look, I've got a boat, here's how big it is, here's what I plan to do with it, am I properly insured? Because bad things, of course, can happen on boats, and you want to make sure you've got coverage available to you if something bad happens.
I mean, it even comes down to, if you have a bigger boat, making sure that you know what your policy includes. Some people, they're the only ones that can touch the steering.
That's right. Some boats are almost as fancy as airplanes, right? And the insurance on those boats only allows certain people to drive the boats. Well, if you've got a fancy boat like that, or even if you're not sure, talk to your insurance agent. Make sure you understand who can drive that boat. Don't get out there on the lake and then realize the only person who can drive that boat, maybe that person had too much to drink, or maybe that person isn't feeling well and can't drive that boat back.
Will that insurance also cover you if somebody slips and falls, cuts themselves on the prop, something like that?
That's right. That's what boat insurance is there for. It's designed to prevent to protect you in the case of an instance of liability on the boat. Okay, which brings us to the next point: drinking and boating.
Right.
We used to have old laws on this that made it a little bit easier to drink and boat.
Kind of part of the culture.
That's right. No more. Okay. Now Michigan law treats alcohol and boating just like it treats alcohol and driving. Same rules apply. So you cannot boat while impaired, and impairment is the same definition for someone who's on a boat as it is in a car. And if you violate that rule, obviously you can be subject to the same criminal penalties that you could be if you were drinking and driving.
It's serious, and they're pulling everybody over in a lot of these bays coming in from the big lake especially.
That's right, and 0.08 is the level of impairment for an automobile. It's the level of impairment for a boat. And you got to be mindful of that. It's no different just because you're out on the water.
Finally, let's talk about life jackets. Everybody's got to have one in the boat. You have to have one for every person on the boat.
It's so easy to pack up the cooler and get all the fun stuff you need and forget, oh, I should have one of these things for each person on the boat. And remember this too, kids under 6 need to be wearing Coast Guard approved life jackets.
Coast Guard's a good place to start too, because you can get their checklist. They require flares, a whole bunch of boating stuff.
That's
too.
right.
We won't get into legally, but a lot of things to remember.
And when you shop for a life jacket for your kid, make sure it's Coast Guard approved. All of them are not.
And if somebody has a legal question or they've been involved in an accident and they don't think they're going to, come out on the right end, they can call you guys.
Please do. 616-301-3333 on the web at sinasdramis.com, or send us an email at info@sinasdramis.com.
Tom, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, Christian.